Hello, hello, hello. This is Gresh from the I Am CEO podcast. I have a very special guest on the show today. I have Morten Storgard, a passive income geek, Morten.com. Morten, it's awesome to have you on the show.
Thank you. Thank you. Glad to be here.
No problem. Super excited to have you on. And Morten is the man behind the YouTube channel Passive Income Geek. He's been building passive income websites for more than a decade and shares all his tricks and tips on the channel in the website with the same name, passiveincomegeek.com. Morten, are you ready to speak to the IMCO community?
Yeah, totally. Thanks.
Awesome. Let's do it. So to kick everything off, I wanted to rewind the clock a little bit, hear a little bit more what got you started. Could you take us through your CEO story? We'll let you get started with all your awesome projects.
Yeah, sure. I'm about to turn 40, so it's been a little while. I started my first e-commerce store, I think 12 or 13 years ago, where I got introduced to an investor, and he actually had a good idea about doing a print-on-demand web store, internet store, where people could upload their own images and photos, and then you could print them on canvas and posters and stuff. So we did that, and we was one of the first to do that here in Scandinavia. Yeah, so that was how I got sort of thrown into the whole e-commerce thing. And a year or two went by, and we had like 10 employees. So that's how I get started with all of this. And then I quickly found that online marketing was my thing. So I actually, after a couple of years, I left the company. And then since that time, I've been doing SEO and just, online marketing for helping other people out with everything. And the clients got bigger and bigger. And I eventually started to do my own websites after a couple of years. So, and that's what I'm doing full time now. Now I'm running a handful of pretty big websites. I think I have around 500,600,000 page views per month. And I advertise these websites with ads and affiliate and stuff. So yeah, you can say a digital publisher today. And yeah, also building a course around how to do that.
Nice. I absolutely love that, just because I think so many times, we might see one of your sites and, hear of the page views and, that's obviously phenomenal. But I think sometimes we gloss over the fact that you put in a lot of work and time to get to that point. And it's kind of, I guess, organic in how things grow, and that you took it step by step, maybe not even knowing that this is where you would end up, it sounds like.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. See, somewhere down the line, it became a quest sort of to figure out how could I make income that was as passive as possible, because that was actually the main plan with the company, was to sort of eventually hire somebody to do it. And, that point never came, which I don't think should be the end goal for anything, but it sort of got me interested in the whole passive income thing.
Yeah, but and that's what it kind of spoke to, is like sometimes we have a vision of what we want to accomplish, and it manifests itself in a different way. Because I know that I say this a lot too, that a lot of times people may not even know there's certain opportunities out there like passive income. So that's why I love, it's awesome everything that you're doing, because I think sometimes people may not even be aware that that's even possible or know how to create it. And to have somebody, first of all, that's done it and is now helping so many other people do it, is a phenomenal thing.
Yeah, something that, there's something that I often ran into when people ask me, so what do you do? Let's say I create passive income websites. They think either it's a scam or it's not possible,
Yeah, right. Yeah, it makes so much sense. Yeah, it makes so much sense. So could you take us through how you work with your clients? I know you touched on some things. Could you take us through what we would find on your site and some of the things that you're doing to help so many people?
Yeah, so I decided to create this YouTube channel sort of to share some of my knowledge, and also to build it into a course, because I'm an extrovert. I love talking to people and being out there. I'm also a musician. I love being on stage and talking to people and mingle, and creating websites it's a pretty lonely business. Also because I'm from Denmark and I create websites for the US traffic or US visitors. So sitting over here with a remote team in the US, it's I wouldn't say it's lonely, but it's a lot of Skype calls and Slack chats and Zoom meetings, and not so much face to face. So I also started the channel sort of to get into public speaking and just to meet other like-minded people, because there are not that many people here in Denmark doing this at large scale, because Denmark is such a tiny country with 5-6 million people. So I don't think it's even possible to make a living from this in Denmark, at least not the way that I approached it with US traffic.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. And I think that just understanding it and seeing that, and especially in this day and age where, probably 10, 15 years ago, you may not have been able to do, or we wouldn't be able to definitely be doing this interview, but there's so many opportunities that have opened up,
Yep.
and being
Yep.
able to kind of take advantage of those also sounds like a great thing.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. So I wanted to ask you now for what I call your secret sauce. And this could be for you personally or your businesses, but what do you feel kind of sets you apart and makes you unique?
Yes, I think a couple of things, and that as you asked me this, I gave it a good thought. And I think one of the things that stands out, I think maybe in the way I do things, is two things. So one is that I'm sitting in Denmark working with Americans. So that meant that I quickly learned how to, you can say, work with a remote team. There's many advantages to that because you can, of course, you can plug into any sort of talent that you want to because you don't have to hire locally. So that's one thing that definitely came naturally to my business, you can say. And the other thing I think is that we had a baby like 3 years ago, and that was around the time when I was about to scale this thing. And that just forced me to go from like 60-hour work weeks to 15-hour work weeks. It was like cut in a quarter. So that sort of forced me to outsource really quickly and really early on. And I don't think I would definitely not be where I am today. And it wouldn't have been possible, I think, if I didn't get forced to outsource early on. So I think that might be the secret source that was sort of forced upon me, but that I'm very, very happy today that it happened because it made me, I would say it enabled me to do so many more things.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. That was the saying, the necessity is the mother of invention, and that sometimes our circumstances through life where, sometimes you may not think anything's possible, and then it has to be possible. So then you figure out
Yep.
exactly how you do it. And I love, as you kind of talked about the opportunity that it presents from being able to work remotely, because once you're able to do that, the world becomes your oyster because you can literally work with anybody, as you said, be able to find
Yeah.
talent literally anywhere across the globe to be able to accomplish the goals.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So I think that was one of the things that really got the business started. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's definitely, I think, I don't know if I would say a necessity, but it may be getting close to being a necessity in this day and age. So it's great to hear you were kind of at the forefront of that. So I wanted to switch gears a little bit, and I wanted to ask you for what I call a CEO hack. So this could be like an app, a book, or a habit that you have, but what's something that makes you more effective and efficient?
Yeah, I would say since I started having so limited work time, only working like 15 hours on an average week, sometimes I just found myself constantly in the trenches. I never sort of had this opportunity to zoom out and just take a look at my own business from the outside perspective. So I decided, I think 6, 8 months ago, to take one morning out. So when I deliver Max into the kindergarten, I usually go to this cafe once a week, sometimes once every second week, to sort of zoom out on my own business and just grab a slow cup of coffee and invest some of that precious 15 hours, into just chilling and just walk away from my business for a while. And I think that's so crucial, so important. It's something that we often forget because, building a business is hard work and you can definitely throw in as many hours as you want to. But I think that's so important. So that's definitely one thing. And yeah, I have another little nugget too. It's an app that I'm using.
Mm-hmm.
It's called Workflow. I think there's other similar apps. So what it does is that you can it sort of organizes your brain. I think that's even the slogan. I think it's like organizing your brain. I think that's the slogan actually. So you can type in anything and it works sort of like when you have these when you have these breadcrumbs on a website, you can see what level you can sort of jump to level up and down through the navigation system. So in the website, and so it's sort of the same thing. So you sort of create this tree of information data, and it just works really well, at least with my brain, in order to so I use it for everything, for show notes and for notes for my videos and guidelines for my writers. And even if I go shopping for groceries, I use this. So it's just an infinite numbers of lists. So if people want to check it out, it's workflow.com. And yeah, I'm not affiliated with them in any way, but it's even a free program. I mean, so it's just totally awesome. It was a big game changer for me getting to know that software.
Yeah, absolutely. And I definitely want to take a look at that. I hadn't heard of it, but it definitely seems like it'd be of value if you're able to kind of, have those breadcrumbs, as you said, and be able to kind of it sounds like take a step back and move forward
Yeah,
as
because you can
well.
so quickly shift between all the information. I think they have there's a very similar product called Dynalists,
Mm.
DYNA Dynalist, if you want to check that out. So it's very much the same thing. So it's just with a few clicks you can access like thousands of lists.
Yeah, that's very big, and I think that I don't even know. It sounds like to me, at least from what I'm hearing, like even those two hacks kind of overlap, just because it gives you that opportunity to kind of take a step back and see everything, but at the same time go into the trenches, so to speak, as you said, with each of
That's
the
actually
different
true.
processes. Exactly, but being able to kind of do that and do that in a flexible way, whether we're talking about through an app or through software, or we're talking about just kind of getting away, going to a coffee shop and being able to kind of get away. I don't know if you found that that's helped you to be able to maybe see the big picture, maybe even see potential opportunities or potential pitfalls that might come. Has it allowed you that opportunity to do that?
Yeah, I feel many times when I go into that coffee shop, I don't know that I need that time off, because I'm so zoomed in on a specific task for the week. Where
Right.
when I get out of there, my week is totally rescheduled, and it's a whole other set of things that become important because I just had this overview. So I think also I'm a very spontaneous person, and I'm probably pretty chaotic, I think my wife would say. So things start to clutter up pretty easily, and I just get lost in the details, I think. So having that time is totally crucial to me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think yeah, I'm really big on creating space, and I think you have to kind of sometimes create space in order to do that. If you know that you have a regular time that you're going to do that, then that definitely makes sure that that gets taken care of and allows you to kind of stay consistent and stay working on the things that really will move the needle forward. Which I think most entrepreneurial people have so many different ideas and so many things that pop up that we want to pursue that
Yeah.
it's important to kind of take a step back and not chase everything that we're doing.
Yeah, I'd say many times what I find out during those hours is that I have the whole week scheduled with things that I actually need to outsource.
Right, that's
I
it.
have to sort of standardize it. I have to sort of do this SOP, standard operating procedure thing, and just
Mhm.
get it down in writing exactly what the procedure is, and then teach somebody to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that makes so much sense. So now I wanted to ask you for what I call a CEO nugget. And that could be a word of wisdom or a piece of advice, could be around passive income or just something you might tell, somebody that views your YouTube or your site, or you might even tell your younger business self.
Yeah, so I noted two things here. So the first one is that since I'm working online, and I think many of the listeners probably are too, at least to some extent. So I decided, I think around a year ago, to know the people that I'm working with online, because many times it's just a face or a name inside Slack or whatever. You don't know the person who's designing your logo and the people writing your content and the people working on the site. So I decided to invest my time in meeting with these people on Skype to have a face-to-face meeting to sort of get a feel for them, and also for them to get a feel for who I am as a business and as a person. And I wanted to know, there was some, I think I was listening to some other podcast, and this coach guy, business coach, said that it's important for leaders to be on a first name basis with the employees you manage directly, and also know the name of their spouse and their pets, just to get
Mhm.
to know people on a deeper level. So I decided to do that, and also sort of to listen and take notes on, what's inside their head. So I decided to do that. I think that's one of the nuggets that I have definitely stayed with. And also right now I have a remote team of, I would say, maybe 12, 13 people. And I have an editor who takes care of around 10 writers. So I taught her to do the same thing. So now I'm meeting with her, and she's meeting with every writer on a monthly basis. And I think for those writers, it's kind of unique, because many times if you're a freelance writer, you would never get to talk to anybody. You just deliver in your work, and that's it. The next comes up. So I think that sort of creates a special connection that I have a feeling that they feel more connected maybe to my business, which is good for business, of course, but it's also just great to have these relations, especially since it's so digital and online.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's so funny when you were saying that, I was like, that's definitely something that we should all just strive to do offline, as well as obviously online too, because I think so many times, I think even introverts are, we crave kind of that human interaction, that human connection. I think we forget that about businesses, how businesses are made up of people, and to actually get that opportunity to develop those relationships, not just for the business, which obviously happens most of the time, but also just for
Yeah.
the human aspect of business as well too.
Yeah, I quickly found out, I was communicating in the same way to everybody. After talking to a person for just a couple of minutes, I could, you can quickly sense if this is a more sensitive person or if this is just straight to the point type of guy. So I figured out that some people, they just need the guidelines and then set go. And other people need some smileys and some emoticons and confirmation, affirmations and stuff like that. So, it just adds so much more to it. Also because as I told you, I'm an extrovert. So I love the communication part of things. I don't want, 10 robots to just work for me. I want to know people.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I think that's a good, at least in my perspective, a good definition or perspective on leadership as well too, because I think, being a great leader is actually caring, for the people that you're working with. And I think that, as you kind of touched on as well too, it's also in creating more leaders as a result of your leadership. And as you've been able to kind of do with your editor as well, to make sure that people are continuing to kind of lead and things are going to the next level all across the team. So definitely appreciate that. So I wanted to ask you now for what I call my absolute favorite question, which is the definition of what it means to be a CEO. And we're hoping to have different quote unquote CEOs on the show. So Morten, what does being a CEO mean to you?
Yes, I think what it means to me is to be able to tap into that freedom that I wanted initially, when I was starting that e-commerce store. I just wanted the freedom sort of to I think to do what I wanted to. So to me, that was a main driver. I love work. I'd absolutely love to work. If I didn't have a child, I would probably work like 8 hours per week. So it's not like I don't want to work, but I absolutely love the idea and also the ability to be able to take a month off when I want to without asking anybody. So, and that can keep me in there for 60 hours if I can take 10 hours out the next week. So actually, I'm about to go on an RV trip for 4 months right now with my spouse and my toddler. So since this pandemic thing, we're going to stay inside teeny tiny Denmark. So we have to drive in circles, because this is such a tiny country, but that's how it is. But that's one of the things that really drives me. And that's also what I wouldn't say it's what being a CEO means, but it's definitely what's the main driver for me to be a CEO, to put in all those hours, all those years, to be able to have that freedom.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that that's incredible kind of perspective and definition. And I think so many times that we forget that freedom basically means you can do what you want to some degree, whether that be working 80 hours a week or deciding that, hey, I want to, go on a trip in an RV and I want to do that with my business and with the team,
Yeah.
that I have and everything. And I think the ability to be able to do either or is truly, what a lot of people are searching for and are definitely obviously happy to achieve as well too. So Morten, truly appreciate that definition, appreciate your time even more. What I wanted to do is pass you the mic, so to speak, just to see if there's anything additional you can let our readers and listeners know, and of course, how best they can get a hold of you, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and find out all the awesome things you're working on.
Yes. So as you said, the YouTube channel and the website is the same name as Passive Income Geek. And if I should leave you with one last nugget, is to listen to your spouse and all this business things. I've been happily married for 14 years, so it's definitely been important for me. She's the order to my chaos, and I think having somebody close to you, at least it doesn't have to be a spouse, of course, but letting some people really, really close to you, I think that's key.
Yeah, absolutely. And we will have the links and information in the show notes just so that everybody can follow up with you. But I definitely think, again, speaking to that human aspect of business, of entrepreneurship, having, being able to kind of share with, spouses or significant others is so important. So I think when we think about why we're doing all the things that we're doing, often those people we love and care about are at the forefront. So keeping them top of mind and listening to them is definitely key and a great way in order to do that. So I appreciate that again, Morten, and I hope you have a phenomenal rest of the day.
Thanks, Chris.